Okay, I forgot where I left off earlier because I had to press the weird buttons and stuff. But, okay, if you're missing a part of your brain, because the ratio of the brain, of each part, like, for the functions, it's different for each person because, yeah, that's where your intelligence or your expertise, your natural talent is, and how developed you are. A person who doesn't have that very developed in certain parts, like, aren't very good at certain parts, or maybe not even, or maybe not even able to. And it has to do with nature and nurture, which has to do with how well you work on it, and also how well your biology works on it, like for you, like how naturally you were able to, because of physically you're able to, but also it has to do with like how well you nourish yourself, and then nutrition. Nutrition has a lot to do with science. Yeah, you're gonna probably pin me for that. That sounds like one of the most idiotic comments ever, but it's true. Okay, because technically science is based on nutrition, it's based on plants. It comes from something. Science is a way to explain a phenomena. Science is disproven and proven. It's not very concrete, and so for that reason, our science today is very primitive, based on research in the past, and also right now is not updated to what our medical system should have. And accountability issues are very big. And technically, what we have right now is like our nutrition food science is very primitive right now. It doesn't have what we need to cure our elements. Because technically we can cure our elements by food, but we need medicine also because it's amplified. And because we can't eat all the nutrition that we need to fulfill our brains, our heart, and our bodies. And also as a ratio of like and the dysfunctions that we have based on what happens to us. Because sometimes it happens like kind of spontaneously. Like, for instance, cancer, right? Sometimes it happens without any kind of anything. It just happens because it has to do with what the cellular activity is inside. In the brain, if we're missing a part, our personality changes. For instance, there was actually I forgot what the guy was called, but there was a study of a guy. They said, but he had an accident. He was the nicest freaking guy in the world. He's sweet, caring, loving, and this is in science books. Okay, this is in psychology books, where he had an accident where like there was a pole that just went all the way up, like that destroyed part of his like whole skull. So because of that, it changed his personality. Well, you can see for cause, which is, I mean, if like any other person, if my head was fucked over like that, and I looked as a handsome young guy, had everything going on, and then like put this fucking big ass thing in and made a huge hole in my head where I look disgusting, deformed, and my wife doesn't love me anymore, I'd be mad, right? That's missing humanism. And also, it changes your personality because, like, the neurally and missing the biologically, and yeah, maybe he's not able to function like that anymore. But there's always this huge mystique about how a person's mind is. You're so crazy. As when you're labeled as something, is a stigmatism. Is a defense mechanism that people have because like they're afraid of the unknown. And also, yeah, after seeing all the serial killer movies, all the things that they have fantasies about, they don't know how to react. I honestly don't believe I'm schizophrenic. I don't think I have symptoms that qualify for the paranoid schizophrenic that they have me labeled as. I believe my beliefs are real. They're rational. I'm not a violent person. For the most part, most of the people that I've ever encountered in my life have never seen me mad before. There's only been a few times in my life that anyone's ever seen me mad. Because I'm a very passionate person. I'm not violent. I've never slapped anyone before. I've never even gotten in a fight. Like, except for one time in first grade, it was really dorky because, like, they kicked me, and I started crying, and I was in the fight, and then we were friends. And he gave me a hug. That's as far as it went, Kay. That's as violent as I ever gone. I've never slapped anyone. No one's ever slapped me. I don't get in fights. I don't pick fights. I have a lot of friends, and people usually they're okay with me. You know, like I'm an okay person. I'm not really looking for approval. I'm just kind of trying to let you know, like, mental illness is a real system, and also, yeah, people who don't have the affect I was talking about in the earlier blog. It has to do with, okay, there's this kind of type of schizophrenia because there's different kinds of schizophrenia. Sometimes because psychology is a mind and behavioral science. So all they can do in the evaluation room, so evaluation room. And no, there's no like double mirrors and things like that. That's for those bougie places where they have money. They don't have any of that. It's just a room. There's a bunch of random people standing around, and sometimes they just have you fill out papers because they don't know where to send you. And if the person's nice, then they send you home. That's it. If the person who kicked you out in the first place, who called the cops in the first place, because it's an alternative to actually being arrested. People actually go to the mental hospital as an alternative to being arrested, or because they're homeless, or because they're in a situation, and because they didn't do anything wrong, and the cops can't pin them for something because they didn't do anything wrong, so they go to the mental hospital. That really is like that. There are a lot of normal people that go there, and a lot of people come out, and they have medication they have to take. But then you don't have to take it if you don't. There's nothing wrong with you. You have to sign a waiver if there's nothing wrong with you, and also they have to actually evaluate you. And also there's actually legal issues. Okay, if you're actually forced by the law for being violent and neurotic, you know, like evil, like the symptom of being evil, like where you have to, like, you know, like kill people because like you find enjoyment from it. That's completely different. Okay, there are places called, there are asylums where they lock people up for that. But in the system, they don't see for the cause and effect of the person. Also, in the mental health system, if you were actually forced to take medication mandated by law, then you would have to do it. But technically, if you don't want to take it and you want to restart your life, there's a lot of people that close their case and they're perfectly fine. And they live without it for years. I literally actually was off my medication for 6 months because technically after 72 hours, it's out of your system. That's literally what they say, which is why you're supposed to take your medication every day, take your medication every day, or you take your medication every day. And if you have effects, then that's why you're not taking your medication. But there's a stigma in society that says that if you don't actually take medication, then you're a bad person. And then once you're on it, you're stuck for life. It's kind of like having like a criminal record or any kind of like bad reputation. They're like using it like against you. If that happens to you. And they do that to me also. And actually a lot of people discriminate against each other for a lot of reasons, regards for race, for disability, for history, for the color of the shoes. Sometimes, whether they have nice shoes or cheap shoes. And also, they consider each other like very, very very, very incriminating for whatever they do. And people don't have the right facts about each other. People have stereotypes. They only have stereotypes. If you're not one of them, then I'm not talking about you because then you're special and we need more people like you around who can see people for who they are instead of all the stereotypes. Because they just know what they heard. They've never seen a person like that, or when they see someone like that, they think that, yeah, they see you and you're fine, and then they see the bad example, and they think you're the bad example, and you're not doing anything. It's not your fault. For instance, one case, right? Yeah, like, okay, like I shop at dollar stores. I'm on a budget. I'm on SSI. I've been really sick for it, but as regards to mental illness or not, because the mental medication makes you really sick. Cause you obesity, heart problems, hormonal problems, blackouts, like skin problems, allergies, cognitive problems. I saw a lot of people really fucked over. Like, they're people. Okay, they're literally in the mental hospital. They literally give you a lawyer. If you're lucky, there's a lawyer that they have time for you, and you actually are there to be able to fit the schedule. There's a lawyer. There's a volunteer lawyer that comes there to prove or disprove whether you're mentally ill or not. And if you and the whole court case is just like being in a room with him. You call into on a phone with a judge or someone like who's like a lawyer, because I think a lawyer is a government official. That's why you have to pass the bar and stuff for it, be qualified for it, or the judge. And if you do like qualify, which is technically whether they decide to or not, because you can appeal. Otherwise, they stick you in there because you can actually be kept in there for like a year or more. If they actually expect you to be dangerous, you can actually end up staying there longer. It's not always. It's kind of insensitive being in the hospital sometimes too, because sometimes they have like you're like they know that there's crazy people in there, or supposedly that's the reason for it, but they have like the raciest, most fucked up movies in there. They have like when I was there, there's Van Helsing. There was horror movies like horror movies, you know, like there's a murder movie in there, and then people were watching it like if you think Inception was bad and scary, and you're like freaking, and you're like watching that in the hospital, and you're like on drugs, and you're like all scared, you know, you're seeing like stuff, right? Yeah, and and another like symptom of schizophrenia or paranoid schizophrenia is hallucinations. Like you see stuff, but it's different. Okay, they have this whole thing that is bad. But there's one thing to have like a disorder where you're like when you see stuff like flying. Okay, but then you just think about it. It's haunted, be haunted. What people consider, because technically all the spiritual stuff in the world that people accept, or the certain people accept, like they consider that part of how that is a psychological phenomena. And also, there's also the idea of having an imagination of being able to visualize something. But if you think about it, it's functional and it's a cause and effect because the natural world has a lot of natural and supernatural and unnatural phenomena. Phenomena is an event that something happens. Then you imagine like how many things could happen. If you tried everything, because technically, okay, how can you really actually prove someone is mentally ill if they're actually normal? It's just that they have like the problem, right? It's just simply like, how is the comparison? You don't have a medical test like for instance, when you have a heart problem, they can X-ray you and test your blood to see if you have a blockage. How do you do that mental stuff? You're acting normal. You're not doing nothing. And it just they want you on medication because it's like a safety net. It's like being like you're in the one side and there's a line. There's a line you because you're in the danger room because you're like some category. And the other side is like, oh, I'm the cool people. Like I'm like not in the danger zone I'm safe because if she takes her medication or he takes his medication or he doesn't, just like okay, so if you have a criminal record, then technically you're on the other side, like for the discriminating against, like you're persecuted because it's for having a past. But everyone has had one. If you think about how if Clinton was that on the spot for having an affair, and he's labeled as bad things forever, and that had nothing to do with his job jurisdiction or anything at all. And I didn't even do that. I haven't had sex forever, okay? I never cheated on anyone. I'm not even married. No one wants me. I just get dumped all over the place. Imagine why. But technically, like, if I was supposed to be on medication and I was criminally insane, according to the law, then I would be stuck in a place called John George. I would not be in this house. I wouldn't have decorations. They would buy groceries. I don't have a collar or something on my foot saying that I have to stay in some place, or otherwise, like, or beeps or something like that. Some people literally have to buy that. Some people literally actually have that. Okay, I don't have that. I'm not klepto or anything like that. I don't have some kind of complex. According to my doctors, I'm fine. They don't even know I'm there. but I have to take this medication for some stupid reason, and I don't want to. And I've been off of it for for 2 months. So what? Because I ran out of medication and they wouldn't give it to me. They wouldn't mail it to me, so that's all I can do. It's not my fault they wouldn't mail me my medication. And I was fine. I was even better. I was able to drive on the freeway. I was able to cook. I was able to do math. I'm not